Hey, I'm Cullen Moss. I was Officer Gorman on The Walking Dead, the creepy lollipop cop, and you're listening to Creech Questions.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Creech Questions. This is episode 33. I am your host, CJ, and my other host is here as well, Miss Alyssa Milan.
Hello.
The music in the background is Theorma and Louise with their song East Virginia. You can check out more of their music at theormalouise.ch. And once again, this podcast is brought to you by the Ladies of the Dead Connection. So let's go ahead and get to those shout-outs.
You give me a gift, bam, thank you note. You invite me somewhere, pow, RSVP. You do me a favor, wham, favor returned. Do not test my politeness.
My shout out is to Rodney James. He helped set me out on my Walking Dead adventure, and I just have never had a way to repay him, and I could never thank him enough. So thank you.
Awesome. And it's kind of the flip this week, because this week I can't think of anybody for my shout-outs, but maybe next week we'll both have shout-outs for everybody.
Yes, for sure.
And I would like to give a shout-out to myself last week, because I made a really big mistake that I don't know if nobody really commented on it, so I don't know if they really noticed, but when we were talking about you coming down to Atlanta, I said the state of Atlanta instead of the city of Atlanta, so I looked like a big dummy.
I didn't catch it, so I mean...
Yeah, I didn't either until I already posted the podcast, and I was listening to it again, and I was like, oh, wow. So then I went and commented on it. Just so everybody knows, I do know Atlanta is not a state. This last week, we have had some very interesting news for Creech Creative in general. We did announce a new podcast guest coming up next month in October, Mr. Sean Clark, who many know from the show Horror's Hallowed Grounds, and he runs Convention All-Stars. He has clients like Norman Reedus, Sarah Wayne Callies, John Bernthal. He has a ton of them, and especially in the horror genre, and he's coming on the podcast, so that's going to be pretty fun. Speaking of fun, and which is almost a really good segue into what we're going to get ready to talk about, Creech Creative will be going to the Walking Dead season premiere in New York City at Madison Square Garden on October, I believe it's 9th. I know it's a couple days before it airs. We've already signed our NDAs, so we won't be able to talk about anything.
Oh, boo.
Yeah. Yeah, we won't be able to talk about anything, and interestingly enough, they're actually not allowing any phones or any electronic recording devices in Madison Square Garden itself. So if you're listening and you're going, make sure you leave those at home, because if not, it's $20 per electronic item. However, all of the money that's collected from that will go to charity, so if you do bring it, at least it's going to a good cause.
Absolutely.
So let's go ahead and talk Fear the Walking Dead on this week's The Walking Dead Wrap-Up. Alright, so this was honestly an amazing episode, I think. What do you think, Alyssa?
I think the same thing. I don't think I've had a bad thing to say about this. It just gets better, and the action is picked up, and we're going to start to see, it's just going to crumble from the inside out.
I agree, and it was actually pretty amazing going online last night, because I think a lot of the people who did not enjoy the first two episodes finally got into it with this episode. I think it finally changed a lot of people's opinions, and it was a stellar episode that was definitely worth the 2-week wait. And it set up a lot. It actually went faster last night than I thought it would, because I thought they were going to be stuck in the barbershop for at least a full episode, and they were out by the opening credits.
Yeah, they didn't waste any time.
Fortunately, I was wrong. I was predicting somebody was going to die. Technically, they did get injured in the escape, but
That's true.
nobody did die from the barber shop. But I have to.
I know you wanted his son. I
Oh
know you are
yes,
not a fan.
yes. I was hoping his son would go out. Like even when they got to the house, I was like, okay, let his son go check on the dog, or check on that guy eating the dog. I was like, I mean, come on, let's get rid of him.
You know what? He's growing on me. I like the relationship between him and Travis. I think it's interesting, and it's going to be. I don't know. I'm forming an attachment to some characters. them two, and then Nick. I'm loving Nick.
I'm finally nearing or crossing the threshold because I am horrible with names in real life and in shows. Usually, I won't remember anybody's name for a long time. I'm starting to finally memorize these people's names, so I at least know
Good.
Nick. I know Nick. I know Travis and Madison.
Yeah.
And that's all I know right now. But it's already grown, so that's a good thing. Now this is my prediction. I know that they are being herded up by the military at this point. To me, it seems not out of the question that we might be meeting up with Tobias again.
Yeah, they seem to be like sweeping through neighborhoods, so yeah, very likely.
Because I mean, he's definitely become a fan favorite to a lot of people. They're already comparing him almost to this version's Morgan or Glenn. But yeah, I think that would be a great way to bring him back in. And I don't know why.
Right.
This episode I was expecting to see, which it could be next episode too. I was expecting to see Morales, I believe it was his name, from season 1.
Oh, are they supposed to? I kind of heard little bits and pieces, but I never knew if it was like true or not.
They've said before the show came out that somebody from the first season would be showing up in this spinoff, and I think at this point, I mean,
could it possibly be Jenner too, as well?
It could be, yeah. I mean, what I'm thinking. See, I don't know where they're at timeline-wise. I mean, now it's probably 2 days removed from everything going crazy, so technically Rick would still be in a coma, but, I mean, this would be the perfect time because Morales and his family left Rick and them back in Atlanta, so, he could have gotten in touch with his cousin, but and Morales could be his cousin, but I don't know, because I still think the timelines probably aren't matching up right now, but every time I hear somebody mention like a character that we haven't seen off screen, like not even necessarily by name, but just by family title, I'm like, oh, is this somebody so and so? And
yeah, just crossing your fingers.
Yeah, it's like I need to.
That would be.
I need to geek out when I see somebody.
Right? Yeah, just give me that. Do you hear that?
Yes, AMC. I need a cast member, former cast member. I mean, I'd be fine with anybody. Just to see him, even if they just walked by the screen and was like, yo, it's going crazy in Atlanta. And then I'd just be like, whoa, mind has been blown.
Right. Or like on the news station, it's showing some like chaos and you just see him run past the screen.
Apparently, now I didn't catch this, but I've been told by people who noticed it. They showed another plane in this episode near the end.
Yeah.
So I feel like, I mean, obviously the webisodes are coming, I'm guessing, in between the two seasons. But I feel like it's about to ramp up for the rest of the season, and it's probably not going to really slow down at all for the rest of the season, considering we only have 3 episodes left.
Yeah, because I think even with a military presence, like if people are turning that fast and it's spreading that fast, the government obviously went down very fast. So, yeah, it's probably not going to slow down at all. I just wonder, do you think we'll get any sort of indication of how this started now that they have the government around them? Do you think they'll get any hint of what the government may know about it
It's possible. I could definitely see that happening, especially maybe not a flat out explanation of it, but at least I think we'll find out a little more about it itself because, with the military is obviously going to have scientists and researchers working on probably trying to figure out what's going on.
Right, and Madison was already asking questions about, is that how it spreads? You know, so I can see them hinting, dropping hints. Just kind of snowing on us, these little hints, because Kirkman likes to do that.
Exactly. I can't shake the feeling that I think the lady who got injured at the beginning of this episode is probably not long for this world.
I actually thought she was going to turn this episode and attack her husband and daughter or something. That's what I thought was going to happen, but she didn't.
Yep, but she still has plenty of chances. I could see her. It was just a leg injury, but now it's been at least a night or two without treating, and probably her continuing to bleed. So she might be bleeding out at any time, and it could very well happen. And she could turn quickly and just lay havoc upon the entire military base or wherever they're going to be at.
Yep, start it from the inside.
I do have to question, I don't know, I guess the resolve of all the rioters that in the beginning. They're like, yeah, let's go destroy this barber shop while people are getting eaten outside. I know if I saw somebody eating somebody else, I'd be like, okay, it's time to turn in. Done rioting. Let me get out of here. And
right, it's like nobody noticed. It was just happening. Like, you would think if, like, one person noticed, it would just, like, spread. Like, that person would be like, dude, look at this, you know? And then it would, like, catch on everybody and be like, okay, that's messed up. We're turning cars over here. You're actually eating somebody. So this is not right.
Exactly. And another thing, I don't know if this was just, it's movie magic. I guess we can brush it off as. But the one thing I didn't quite get was how Travis's car was magically undestroyed, not even a scratch or dent on it, when this crazy riot's going on. I don't know. Something just seems fishy there.
Yeah. Like, no one tried, like, grabbing the people out of the back or jacking up the car.
Maybe before he went in the barbershop, he wrote a note like, hey, rioters, please don't destroy my car. Thank you. And maybe they were like, maybe they're actually polite rioters, and they were like, okay, well, there's a note here that says don't destroy it, so we're not going to destroy it. Let's just go burn every other car.
This one car, that's all he told us about, so ruin everything else first.
Yeah, and like even they got in the car, and nobody, it seemed like as he was getting ready to drive off, then people were like trying to go to the car. But before that, like, when they got to the car and everything, everyone was just leaving them alone. I'm just like, well, that's that movie magic right there.
Right.
So,
it can only be so realistic. Our characters actually have to get away. So they have to do that.
Yeah, in all reality, probably they wouldn't have made it out of the barbershop with the rioting going on.
Exactly. Yeah.
And you know what? I'd have been completely fine if his son didn't. If they could have went the realistic route for that.
Oh, I don't know. I have a soft spot for him. I don't know why.
I'm not saying I wouldn't want him on my podcast. I don't like his character, but I still...
No, yeah, totally.
He's still welcome on my podcast, and I'll gladly talk with him about why I hate his character. But, yeah.
That's funny.
So that is going to do it for this week's Walking Dead wrap-up. We'll obviously be back next week talking the very next and very highly anticipated by us episode of Fear the Walking Dead. Now, we have a return guest this week, and it's been quite a while since he's been on. There's been a lot going on in his career, and we are excited to talk to him again. Who are we talking to again this week, Alyssa?
Cullen Moss.
Yes, and it's a really good interview. Obviously, we're going to have to do 2 parts. So we're going to go ahead and start the interview, and then we'll pick it up in the second part. So enjoy. Have you been since, I guess last time we saw each other was what, Orlando?
Yes. Yeah, man. Things have been good. I was supposed to go to, I was supposed to be there in Boston, but I guess they ran out of or they lost the ballroom or something, and so I got bumped. There's just I guess there just wasn't enough ballroom for Gorman.
I know, right?
If I had a nickel, but yeah, I'm pretty sure I'm going to be in Atlanta.
Oh yeah, I will be very surprised. Yeah, I'd be very surprised if you weren't, because they're still adding people. I think that right now, I don't even know. I think they've had more in Atlanta than they've had ever at any event.
Oh wow!
Like, I think the last time I checked the roster to see for interviews, it looks like I think they've got about 60 people already.
Holy shit!
Yeah, it's gonna be huge.
Wow!
And
good deal, man.
Yeah, definitely. And then you get to go back to, I guess your old stomping grounds, at least Walking Dead wise.
Oh yes.
They're filming season 2 down here right now already. Have you been doing anything with Vice Principals?
I did a little something, and I'm hoping to get back in on season 2. Yeah, they brought me in, and it was I really can't talk about it much, but but it was fun. I had fun. I got to improv with those guys again, and I'm hoping they'll bring me back in a different capacity in the second season. It was one of the last episodes of the first season they got me in on, and so I got to work with Jody. Jody Hill was directing that episode, and I got to work with Danny McBride and again, and we had a good time. And Jody's busy during this second season working on a different projects. I think David Gordon Green's going to be directing most of the episodes, so I'd love to get in and work with him.
Yeah, definitely, yeah. It's they're making waves down here. I've heard nothing but good stuff about the show. I'm supposed to be talking to HBO at some point to do interviews on the actual set.
Oh, cool! That's awesome. Yeah, those are fun. Those are fun guys. That I imagine they'd be fun in an interview situation.
Oh
yeah. It was a ball working with them. It's just, it's like a tease to get to go down and have to have a small scene with them and get to improv and stuff. It always leaves you wanting more. And that's what I really enjoy doing is, that environment. It's just so rich. Is one in which I thrive. So it's just like, bring me back. I want to play again.
yeah, I mean, even though
I hope they do.
Even though it seems like, I mean, you do nail the villainous parts pretty well. You're really good at comedy too. Definitely.
Oh, thanks, man.
Not a problem.
I'd like to get more opportunities in the comedy realm, but for some reason I did get stuck there a little bit in asshole mode.
yeah, we can have a Cullen Moss comedy hour.
Please, yeah. I should have my old. I did a comedy troupe for years. I was part of a sketch comedy show for years in Wilmington called Changing Channel, which was some of the best and funniest people I've ever known. And we went for about 10 years. of which I was part of them for they went for maybe 11 years. I was part of them for about 8 of those 11, and then we've everybody kind of spread out and went to different points across the country, and so we've had a couple reunions. We're about to have another one in November. We all get back together. Well, as many of us as that can are getting back together and doing 3 nights in a row at this place called Theater Now in Wilmington, near downtown. We're going to have 3 nights in a row of old debauchery.
Nice.
Good stuff. So yeah, I'm having to hone my writing chops again and trying to put some funny down on paper. But, our humor kind of ran on the blue end of things. There's very little that was off limits.
That's the best kind of comedy, in my opinion.
I agree.
And it looks like I got quite a few questions, and
good.
that were sent in, and thankfully this time they're not all Walking Dead related. So
all right.
I think we covered a lot of those the last time, but now the first one is semi-Walking Dead related, but it's pertaining to the other show that you actually aren't a part of, the Fear the Walking Dead, and we've got a Liam O'Leary. Looks like from at Twitter @TheRules asking, have you been watching Fear the Walking Dead? And if so, has it made you think about what you do if there really was a zombie apocalypse?
I'm familiar with Liam through the Twitterverse. I don't even know through Twitter. I don't know if Twitterverse is a word, or if people can say that and not sound like a dick. Twitterverse. I know him through Twitterverse, and I know Liam. Well, you tell Liam that I only saw I only saw the pilot for Fear the Walking Dead, which was awesome. I thought it was a pretty good lead-in, and I'm looking forward to watching the rest. But so far, I've just seen the pilot, and I mean that didn't necessarily get my gears going about what I would do should the zombie apocalypse. It's something that I've been thinking about for a long time. A lot of my zombie-centric friends think about it with me. We get, in altered states and think about it together. And at gatherings, like, how would we do this? And, well, I know my dad's got some land in Robbinsville, North Carolina, and the mountains. Well, first I'd have to go and scoop up all my zombie file friends, all my zombie-centric buddies, of course, I'd bring my family because that would be callous of me not to do that, even though they would slow me down. But I'd have my boys and my wife, and we go to my buddy Will Shuford's house because that dude knows how to prepare for the zombie apocalypse, and he probably already has been. And we also have some friends in Virginia that have this almost commune-style living situation in the mountains of Virginia. Where they've already been growing their own food and shit and have their own chickens. And my buddy Jason, I grabbed him on the way. He's in Black Mountain, North Carolina. He's got goats and guinea fowl. Be like, come on, we got to bring them. And the dogs, bring the dogs. Yeah. It would be, initially, I would go to my buddy Will Shuford's house. I'd have my family. I'd also pick up my buddy Sean Llewellyn, who also thinks maybe a little too much about the zombie apocalypse, and we'd be ready, man. I mean, and my dad, honestly, because my dad's got he's got some really good zombie killing implements. I already have some too, but my dad's got the axes and chainsaws, and not that a chainsaw is the most. That wouldn't be the easiest zombie killing implement, but my dad's got the weaponry.
It's definitely one of the most badass.
What's that?
It's definitely one of the most badass, though.
It would be pretty fucking badass, yes. Yeah, I mean, that's That's what I would do. I know that's a long and winding answer for Mr. Liam O'Leary, but I just had, I had to give my boys Will Schubert and Sean Llewellyn some shout outs because those dudes have really thought out the zombie apocalypse, and more so than I. Like, I've probably been like, when they're talking about it, like, and let's just say that were we in an altered state when we were talking about it, I might have been on the less coherent end of things. So, I think they probably gathered a better plan than I did. I was just like, yeah, agreed. That's what we should do, and I didn't really come away knowing anymore. But anyway, I'm finding those boys. I've got my family heading to the mountains. It's home. Yeah.
You are completely
yes,
prepared.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Now, are you going to take some travel lollipops with you?
Yes, I would, because here's the other thing. Should the zombie apocalypse come, like, I think it would behoove me. I think that would be sort of a peace offering or an endearing symbol for the Walking Dead fans who also think perhaps a little too much about the zombie apocalypse. Like, so should I run into Walking Dead fans while, like, seeking refuge or whatever, or a stronghold for the zombie apocalypse? You want as many friends as you can have, right? Like, you certainly don't want enemies. That's basically it. Enemies will form. But if I got the green lollipops and I come across a Walking Dead fan, immediately they're like, "Oh, you were the creepy cop from the, oh shit." And I'd be like, "Yeah, and here's the green lollipop. Look, you can't come with us, man, because there's only so much room at the commune, but I love you. Hey, thanks for being a fan. Here's a green lollipop. Good luck getting the zombie apocalypse." And I think that they would take that as like a little olive branch. They'd be like, "Thanks, bro. You're good. We're not going to try to steal your goods and, or kill your child and eat him." And I'd be like, "Cool." So, yeah, I would have the green lollipops.
Well, everything seems to be on the up and up for your group.
I mean, yeah, I've got green lollipops, guys. We're good. We can get through this.
Now everybody's either going to try to find you in the apocalypse, or they're going to go to get a lollipop.
Exactly.
You may get more people like just coming up. Hey, this dude's handing out lollipops.
Yeah, it could be just that. Yeah. I mean, yeah, like, I'm going to know how to survive. Now, what I would worry about, like, maybe, like, with the extreme fan base, like, if I come across somebody that, like, can't separate fact from fiction, and they see me, and they'll be like, "I know what you're going to become." And, like, you're going to be a raping mother in a hospital. I'm like, no. This is real life. I got a family. It's like, I see the green lollipops. You nasty bastard. And then they're going to... Anyway, so there are pitfalls to carrying the green lollipops.
There are. But
yeah.
for the most part, I mean, other than honestly, maybe some of the hardcore fans, I mean, I think every fan of any kind of genre, but especially The Walking Dead, where they question what would happen if it hits. Usually they always imagine them being like Daryl or whatever, and I honestly think most of us will just be dead in like the first 10 minutes.
Right. Yes. But most of us, but CJ, not me.
Not Cullen.
Me. I got a plan.
He's got a plan.
Not Cullen Moss. He's not because he knows Will Schubert and Sean Llewellyn, and there's a mountain commune in Virginia. I ain't saying where, because they may not even take me in. I really haven't okayed it with the people who already live there, but I'm thinking that they will. I don't know. We'll see. I got options.
Yeah, you and your group can always take it over.
Oh yeah.
All right, now the next question is kind of what we were actually just talking about a little bit as well. It says The Walking Dead fans are extremely loyal and can take it to the extreme at times. Is there anything that you feel this passionate about yourself as a fan?
Ooh, man. I mean, I'm almost there. See, I'm almost there with Walking Dead. But I don't, and I'm not part of the one of the things about being an actor and seeing, it's like seeing behind the curtain and knowing everything that goes into the stuff, sort of demystifies some of the stuff, and I guess you see the underside of everything. So I mean, I'm not saying that I'm not starstruck or anything at any point. There are definitely actors and actresses I'm a fan of that should, if I saw them, I would, I'd have a little trouble finding finding the power of speech. But I'm not. There hasn't been anything to it that I've really taken to that extreme. I'm not a sports guy. I don't follow. I'm gonna help myself here. I follow no professional sport. So there is like no season where my wife's like, "Oh, I'm gonna lose Cullen to blah blah blah." Like she's just like, she loses me to binge watching shit on Netflix, and there's no like football, whatever, baseball, whatever, basketball, whatever. They're all worthwhile sports. I'm not saying they're not. I've just never been bit by the bug. And the same like with television, there's shows that I love and get caught up in while I'm watching them. I'm not saying that doesn't happen. I'm not caught up in the magic of a show or anything. I just there's a fanaticism that I just haven't been brought to, really. As a kid, sure, and I like, but what I do love is going to these conventions and seeing that and kind of living vicariously through it, because it is something that's like that's all inspiring. It's like, damn, I wish I could get there again, because I did as a kid. I made my mom buy blue tights so I could dress up like Superman, and so I could complete my Underoos outfit, and so yeah, I don't go there, but I certainly don't scoff at it. I'm like, I really do appreciate it and thrive from it when I'm around it. I'm like, hell yeah, look at these people and how excited they are about this, and that this guy who's was dressed up like Daryl this morning at 10 a.m. here at 2 a.m. We're not even on the convention floor, and he's still dressed up like Daryl, and he's not. It's like, yeah, that's awesome. I haven't gone there, but I haven't, but I admire it.
Yeah, I mean, some of those cosplayers, like, they'll even change, like, the character look every couple hours.
Yeah.
Like, I've seen some people that are, like, at first it's Rick, and then Rick with bandages on his face and everything, and it's crazy. It's cool, though.
Yeah, they evolve throughout the day, yeah. It is pretty cool.
And,
yeah, absolutely.
And now the next question is an acting question, which are always the best ones. How do you prepare so that you'll bring the right amount of emotion and realism to a scene?
I wish I knew. I think what I do is just know the scene and know as much as you can. Know the context around the scene, and it's important to be able to. I think as an actor, it's important to be able to know the whole story. Because sometimes we're not even allowed to read an entire script. Depending on the show, there's certain shows that have a non-disclosure and an NDA thing that you have to sign, and then even when you get in, you're not able to read the full script, and you're just able to see the scenes that you're a part of. So within that context, it's hard to know where, how your character, the exact purpose within the script your character is supposed to serve, or your scenes are supposed to serve. But most of the time you do have a whole script, and you can look at the whole script. And what I would say is just to know the story and what purpose your scene serves in the story, and then just to know your know your lines, know your scene, and know your lines well enough that you don't have to think about them, and that you can just that you can listen to everybody else in the scene and really put yourself where your character is supposed to be within the context of the story, and just pretend as best as you can, because that's what acting is, just pretending that you're someone else, that you're something else, that you're somewhere else, and in a situation that you may not have ever been in, but that your job as an actor is to put yourself there and make yourself believe it. Make yourself believe that you're in that situation as best you can. And, so to just go, I try to go in just with that. I don't know. There's not like a process that I go through, but I just go in just with that willingness to believe that to lose myself and to just believe in those moments that the camera's running, or that I'm on stage, or whatever, that I'm in that situation, and react as honestly as I can to people. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the next one is another acting one. It looks like a two-parter. They ask, how did you get into acting? And then was there ever a point in your life when you thought you were headed down a different career path?
I got into acting as a kid. It just I would when my parents would read stories to me, I'd want to act it out, and I would when I told stories, if somebody, if I was talking about someone that we knew, a relative, a friend, or a relative, I would try to take on their mannerisms and their voice. And I think my parents saw it, and they put me in acting classes as a kid. When I was about 6, I think they started me. The Little Theater of Winston-Salem had acting classes, and I think one of my first teachers had been Beth Bostic, who was this wonderful actress who was a student at North Carolina School of the Arts for acting, and she's gone on to do some film roles. But she was one of my first teachers, I remember, and like her, and she's all these names are popping in my head. Her, Marley Willard, Pat O'Toole, and so it's Beth Bostic, Marley Willard, Pat O'Toole, Mary Lucy Bivens, Greg Vogelsmeyer, Charles Pringle, all the that I had from the time I was 6 through high school at the Little Theater of Winston-Salem, taking this acting class. And so my parents kind of saw that I had a proclivity for that and put me into it. So I was doing theater throughout my childhood into my teens, and but was also interested in visual art. And so when I was doing theater, as a kid and stuff, I don't know when it was that I saw that acting was a viable option as a way to make a living. Because, like still as an actor, while I was doing theater and stuff, I didn't know what I wanted to do when I grew up. I wasn't sure if I wanted to be a teacher, if I wanted to be I didn't know. There was a while when as a visual artist, I thought about doing commercial art, advertising, kind of stuff, and I thought about going down that road. My college career consisted of one semester at UNC Greensboro, in which I made a 0.0.
Oh, nice.
And I went. Oh yeah, I went there to get with the intention of getting a BFA in acting, and was going to take art courses there as well, and just to kind of see where it led me. And I'd thought about going to North Carolina School of the Arts for acting, but was actually discouraged from that by a family friend of mine who taught there. Just said, it's too narrow a path, go to a liberal arts school, see what you want to do. Anyway, I failed out, didn't know what I wanted to do, just bummed around, waited tables, bummed around Winston-Salem, and then started doing some student films with North Carolina School of the Arts when their film school opened. And all my answers are really long, and I apologize.
Oh, you're good, man. I like long answers.
But, so I did some student films, and so that kind of got me back into it. I hadn't done any theater or anything for a long time, and then did some student films with the film students, and a good friend of mine, Frank Eaton, wrote. He was one of my roommates and old high school buddies. He had gone to film school, and he was a great screenwriter. He wrote these, for a young guy. He wrote what I thought were some pretty brilliant screenplays. And he wrote, and I helped write a little bit, this short film called Poor Walter's Almanac that was shot in Winston-Salem, North Carolina, with the help of many friends. And our DP was a woman named Paige Thomas, who I had developed a huge crush on. But anyway, I had the lead role in this thing, Poor Walter's Almanac, and the woman that played my wife in it was Paige's sister, Portia Thomas, who I also developed a crush on. And they were both from Wilmington, North Carolina. And we rented our equipment from Wilmington, North Carolina. And so when we went to, and I'd been to Wilmington sporadically, and then actually, I dated a girl that lived there, and she was saying, well, if you want to move there, move there, because she was going to go to school there, and I would call the studio, Screen Gem Studios, which then was Carolco Studios, and inquire about PA work. But I would just call and say, so what shows are shooting, and maybe I'll move there and be a PA on it, and maybe that's how I'll get my into acting or whatever. But it was just a pipe dream, and I never followed through. Anyway, then we shot this short. We rented our equipment from Wilmington. When we went to return the equipment, I think I was 21 at this point. We returned the equipment and hung out in Wilmington, had a rap party in Wilmington, and like me and Sean Llewellyn, my zombie buddy, me and Sean Llewellyn and Frank Eaton, just fell in love with it, and we were like, all right, we're going to move here, right? And they had both gone to film school, and I acted, so that was when our eyes opened to the possibilities that Wilmington, staying on the East Coast, that maybe things could be viable. You can chase your dream, in the southeast of North Carolina.
Like we were saying, this is going to be a 2-part podcast, so we're going to wrap it up right here, and we will see you for the rest of the Cullen Moss interview in part 2.